Listener discretion is advised. Hello and welcome to True Crime, the podcast that helps you find new, emerging, and undiscovered true crime podcasts. I'm Greg, the host and curator of True Crime. Today's episode is from Twisted and Uncorked. Twisted and Uncorked is a truly twisted podcast hosted by best friends Alicia and Sierra. Join them every week as they talk about true crime, paranormal, cult, conspiracy cases, and whatever they're craving. You can expect some serious chills, fun facts, the occasional banter, and well-researched case information. If you like today's episode, make sure to check out the episode description for links to subscribe. All right, let's get this show started.
Begin.
We're in Red Media.
Hello, Twisted Humans. Do you find yourself wanting to know more about the latest murder, conspiracy, cult, or haunting? Then this is the podcast for you. I'm Alicia. And I'm Sierra, and this is Twisted and Uncorked.
Hello and welcome to episode 155. Today, I'm telling you all a story based on your chosen special topic of celebrity crimes. But, as I have already covered a celebrity crime for my most recent episode of an unsolved case, I have decided to misunderstand the assignment just slightly.
I had a feeling you were going to go that route.
Uh-huh.
We record way in advance, guys, and when you voted on that, she was like, God damn it.
I was literally in the middle of researching the case that I did. I think I had just finished the research. I was like, I'm not doing this again. So yeah, that
back it up to 153 if you haven't listened to our OJ episode yet. Sierra did a really good job. Multiple people reached out and was like, I've heard this story multiple times, and you did a really good job. So,
oh,
kudos to you.
I was so nervous to, put salt on the wound, you know?
You cover the bravest stories of the two of us, so kudos to you. You do. You really do. You did the research for West Memphis 3. You did this. You dig through me making it up to you is doing serial killer notes, because that's a whole other dark rabbit hole, which we have next week for you guys, but I'm excited to hear what you have for today.
So this is actually going to be about, it's still about celebrities who have experienced crimes, but today's story is going to revolve around a particular house. Ooh, a haunted house with a shocking connection to not one, but two major celebrity deaths. Before we get started...
I'm so excited. I know that's such a horrible thing to say, but I'm so excited.
Do you have a fun fact for us, Alicia?
I do. Sierra does not have a laptop anymore, guys, RIP. But on most Windows computers, on the left-hand side, there is a little search button that you could search things on your computer, or it'll bring up like a search for the interweb. Oh my God. Internet. And every day, there's little symbols in the bottom left corner about whatever they want to teach you about. And so the other day, there was this weird little, and it's like a cartoon version. Somebody knows what I'm talking about. Like, for example, today there's a little mug in the corner, and if I click on it, it's like, skip the cafe, make your own matcha latte at home. Well, 2 days ago, it was about something called a sunfish. And I am obsessed. They're horrifying because I'm afraid of everything in the ocean, but they get their name because they are super long, like super round and big. They're like 6 feet by 6 feet around to 8 feet. And they're almost like flat with like little fins. Are you Googling a sunfish right now? They're kind of horrifying. They're kind of horrifying. But they're deep water fish. Like everything that they eat is deep water. But they come up to the surface and lay on their sides and suntan. And I was like, what?
That's so weird.
Are you seeing a photo of them on their on the surface of the water?
No, this one,
oh God,
looks like he's wearing a tutu.
Oh, he does. I wonder if that's a male one. I think all the ones I've seen are females. But people often
gonna check
mistake
Titanic.
them for being dead because they float at the top of the water on their sides, and sometimes they have their eyes closed. They look like they're dead. So people are like,
Yeah.
oh my God. But because they're deep water fish, people don't often see them unless they're doing that. So that's why they got the term sunfish, because they suntan. And I thought that was kind of cute. And this is coming from somebody that's horrified of everything in the water. And if you're watching this on YouTube, Sierra's face is horrified.
It's weird. I don't like it.
I don't like it.
It like doesn't have a tail. It just has the weird little tutu thing
Yeah.
and two fins, one on top and one on bottom, that
I
makes
know.
it look like its legs are outstretched.
How does it swim like that?
I don't know.
They're
Like,
fucking
what?
huge, though. They're
What?
fucking huge. Like, if you look at them next to a
Goodness.
human, I'm like, absolutely not.
Yo, they're so big.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah. But what is your fun fact?
My fun fact is about a sort of celebrity. Do you guys have McGruff, the crime dog, in Canada?
I can't speak for all of Canada because I've been yelled at in the past, but it wasn't a big thing for me until I started listening to Sinisterhood. Because they are big
so McGruff, the crime
McGruff
dog,
fans.
is like he was like the dare dog. You know what I mean? Like he came
Yeah.
and talked about drugs and alcohol and guns and stuff like that. Right? He came to schools. The actor, because they did like a, I don't know if it was a show, but it was like commercials and stuff of McGruff the crime dog. The actor's name is John Morales, the one who voiced McGruff. And he has been in jail since 2011 because police discovered he had 1,000 marijuana plants, 27 weapons, and 9,000 rounds of ammunition at his house. So, McGruff is not taking his own advice.
I was going to say the irony in that investigation.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, McGruff's in jail. Okay. He's a bad dog.
Oh my God. Yeah. That's not a good look for a crime dog. To have
Not at all.
1,000 marijuana plants.
In 2011 too. Like it was not legal.
Not legal anywhere then.
At the time.
Oh my
Oh
God.
gosh.
I love it. Oh no. Well,
That's why.
Oh,
Sorry, I was going to say that. That's why he's telling the kids not to get the drugs and guns because he wants them all for himself. Hoarder.
he's like,
He doesn't
just
want to
save
share.
it for me. Everything's fine here. Nothing
Yeah.
to see. Or is he like, I'm already too far deep. Save yourselves, guys.
Yeah, maybe. I didn't save the link. I just screenshotted the information, but I'm pretty sure it said he also had like grenades. Like for what? Why? What do you
Sir.
need that for?
Sir. Yeah, right? That's gross. I don't like that.
No, you know what? I'm wrong. It wasn't even. It was grenade launchers. Like even more. Why? Ugh.
Sir, yeah, I mean, it's maybe a good thing that he's in jail, because
Maybe
what was he going to do with those grenade launchers?
ponder on that. Well, you sip on a sangria.
Perfect segue. I'm actually not drinking my own sangria recipe, and I say that hesitantly because I really wanted it, but I haven't eaten dinner yet, and that feels irresponsible, so I'm drinking a White Claw instead. And my cousin is coming here this weekend with her son, and it's her birthday next week, so I thought that it would be a perfect little backyard sipper with her, so I will report back on how it tastes. But it is a
Nice.
summer strawberry sangria, and it has strawberries. You can put sugar in it. You can admit it if you'd like, or simple syrup. Raspberries, orange slices, orange juice, orange liqueur, and if you would like, you can use a rosé or a sparkling rosé, and if you don't have a sparkling rosé, you can just top it with a little bit of soda water, and it sounds super refreshing, super sweet. And I don't know about any of you listeners, but our strawberries have been really good lately. California's doing it right. They're not grown here, let's face it.
Yeah.
But
They're not growing in my backyard either because they're not growing.
you don't have
Strawberries,
flowers
not
yet?
fruited. I do. I have flowers.
That's a good
And the
sign.
little green comes out and then it goes back and then shrivels up. And I'm like, what's happening? I think it might be too hot here already.
The strawberry comes out. It's like,
Strawberries are springtime.
no.
Yeah. It's like, actually, just kidding.
Oh, I hope that changes. I can't grow
That's all right.
strawberries on my balcony because it's not hot enough. So
Yeah.
I tried the first year that we lived here, and that was an epic fail. I didn't even get flowers. So I believe in you. You got this. And
We'll see.
you mentioned that you are maybe drinking something else, or do you just have water?
Yes. I am drinking apple cider vinegar tea.
Which,
So it's
before you shut
hot
this off,
water.
guys, it's actually very good.
It is really good.
It tastes like apple cider, like warm apple cider, kind of.
Yeah,
like
it really
less
does.
sugary.
Yeah, it's hot water with apple cider, honey, a little bit of lemon juice, and cinnamon stick, and it's great. So,
And it's great for your gut. So,
and
Drink
it's supposed to help you fall asleep better. So after this, I should be able to go right to sleep and not be thinking about books all night long.
we had a little rant before this, but if you want to hear about everything that we're reading, you can come and check out our Patreon page and follow along with us because we are apparently book obsessed. I don't get to read as much as Sierra does, which makes me sad, but I did recently finish a recommendation of hers and it was so good. So we are going to talk about that next bitch and wine, but
For sure. We are going to get right into today's story after a quick break. Be right back. Okay, so today's story starts with the purchase of the alleged haunted house in July of 1932.
oh shit, an old-timey case.
Old-timey for now. Paul Byrne bought a house as a wedding gift for his new bride, Jean Harlow. 2 months later, he'd be found dead inside of that house. Paul Byrne was born Paul Levy in 1889 in Germany. When he was young, he, his parents, and 5 siblings moved to New York to escape the rise of anti-Jewish views in Germany. In New York, he developed a love for acting and claimed the stage name Paul Byrne. While he acted on stage sets for a while, he eventually realized that in front of the scene wasn't where he belonged. Paul wanted to be behind the scenes as a stage manager, director, or producer. He moved to Hollywood in the 1920s and worked his way up from film editor to screenwriter and eventually became a major producer for MGM Studios.
Maybe you've heard of it.
Maybe. Jean Harlow was an up-and-coming actress, born Harleen Harlow Carpenter in 1911, and known for her quote-unquote bad girl roles.
I'm smiling because I know who Jean Harlow is. You know me, I'm a sucker for old Hollywood women.
Nice. She actually had no interest in being an actor as a child. Her mother, Jean Carpenter, was the one who moved them to Los Angeles so that she, the mother, could pursue acting. At the age of 32, though, she was having trouble finding any gigs. They wanted younger actresses.
Just bullshit.
Harleen went with a friend to an audition one day and caught the eye of some executives. They took note of Harleen's beauty and asked her to audition. Originally, she said no, but her friend dared her to do it, so she did. And she put her mother's maiden name down as her own, Jean Harlow. She was a hit. They called her back for further auditions multiple times, and her mother eventually talked her into acting. In the early 1930s, Harleen, now known as Jean Harlow, met Paul Byrne, and they began a friendship. They had a 18-year age difference, but Paul saw in Jean a wonderful actress with potential to become a star in leading roles. Other producers and executives only saw a beautiful young blonde and wanted her specifically for the sexy roles. She admired Paul for seeing her potential outside of her beauty.
Just gonna say, she was a blonde bombshell, if I remember correctly.
Yes. He was often described as short, kind of nerdy older man by this point, so when Jean took interest in him as a romantic partner, many people were shocked. They didn't look like they'd be a fit couple. But their romance hit hard and fast. They started dating in early 1932 and were married on July 2nd of that same year when they moved into their home that Paul purchased for Jean. But on September 5th, 1932, Paul Byrne was found dead in his home with a single gunshot wound to his head. Officially, his death was ruled a suicide, but everything about it is weird and we will probably never know for sure. Here are the details. When he was found by staff of the house, Jean was not home. She had stayed at her mother's house the night before, possibly because they were having an argument. Many reports said that she told him she was leaving him. The first people that the staff found him called were the MGM studio execs, not the police. And the MGM execs allegedly said they could not have a murder investigation on their hands because that would cause bad press for all the movies that were about to come out that Jean Harlow was to be starring in.
Yeah.
There was a suicide note found in the home, maybe. The note said, "Dearest dear, unfortunately, this is the only way to make good on the frightful wrong I have done you and wipe out my abject humiliation. I love you, Paul. You understand that last night was only a comedy." However, it was not present when the police finally did arrive. The execs who were there first gave it to the police, saying they originally did not want that information to be made public, but decided against keeping it from the police. Some people claim it's not written in Paul's handwriting, so maybe the execs, or even the actual killer, if this was a murder, wrote it to make it look like a suicide. The story is that Paul was cheating on Jean, and that's why she was leaving him and stayed at her mom's, and that is what explains the suicide note and his death. It makes sense. But then there's another weird thing. A woman named Dorothy Millette died by suicide the very next day, September 6th, after she jumped off a riverboat into the Sacramento River at 3 a.m. Dorothy Millette was Paul Byrne's actual legal wife. Paul and Dorothy, So he's not even legally married to Jean. Okay. He had a wife already.
Sir. Also, that's so sad.
You can't just marry two people.
No, you can't do that. Blonde bombshell or not, that's a dick move.
Paul and Dorothy had met many years ago when he was living in New York and doing stage acting. She was also a stage actress. They fell in love and married, but she became ill with a mental illness and was sent to live in a sanatorium in Connecticut.
Oh, God. We all know how that goes.
When Paul moved to Hollywood, he continued to support Dorothy. He sent her the equivalent of $5,000 in today's money every month and wrote her letters about his life and his hopes for her to be happy. But he never spoke about her to others. It was a secret that he had kept all those years. According to correspondence with Dorothy, she was going to be traveling to California that night of his death, and he was going to be paying her way. The trip, the hotel she'd stay in, all of it. Some think that she was the one who came to his home and killed him, and then killed herself. Others believe that she killed herself because she was sad that he had died. Sad because she still loved him, and because she knew that now that he was dead, she wouldn't have her monthly payments and support from him. The case was closed as a suicide, then reopened 30 years later because of rumors that it may be a murder. But upon looking into the case, the district attorney at the time said, that it appears to have only been rumor and there's no new information or evidence in the case that would lead to a different decision. And so it was closed again. So basically, like, maybe this was a murder, but at the time they didn't have evidence of that, whether they didn't look for it or just didn't have it.
So there's a possibility. Yeah.
For sure. 5 years after Paul Burton's death, Jean Harlow passed away of kidney failure at the age of 26.
So young.
She had contracted scarlet fever as a child, and the doctors believe that this had put a strain on her kidneys ever since. However, rumors suggest that Paul Burton had abused or even slowly poisoned Jean while he was alive, which resulted in her death. Other rumors suggest that her mother was a Christian Scientist who didn't believe in surgeries, and her illness would have been treated and she could have survived if they had acted sooner and had treatment and surgery. Either way, it was a sad day for everyone, and at the MGM studio, the entire company was shut down to attend her funeral. The saddest part of all of this was that Paul was laid to rest in one place. His legal wife was laid to rest in some other place, Dorothy, so that his new wife, Jean, could eventually be laid with him. But Jean married again after Paul's death. So she was laid to rest.
That's grave moving. That's bad energy, guys. Stop doing this.
She was laid to rest separate of Paul, where her new husband would be laid. But he too remarried before he died. So he was not laid to rest with Jean. All three of these people were buried and remained alone.
Oh no,
which
that's
could be a
haunted
reason
disaster right there.
why they might decide to visit and haunt the last place they were. This haunted Benedict Canyon house. And I know that I just told you about 3 deaths, but this was only the first instance of a celebrity death being related to this house. The other happened 30 years later in the 1960s. In 1963, that same house was bought and moved into by a man who was actually quite intrigued by its history. His name was J. Sebring. J. Sebring was born Thomas John Coomer in 1933 in Birmingham, Alabama, but he grew up in Michigan. After graduating high school, he served in the U.S. Navy for 4 years and then moved to Los Angeles to attend beauty school and became a hairstylist and changed his name. J. Sebring became a renowned hairstylist, changing the way men's hair was cut and styled in Hollywood. While most barbers were charging just a few dollars for men's haircuts, Jay was able to charge $50 or more for the techniques that he knew and had clients like Frank Sinatra and Sammy Davis Jr., who paid him to travel to them. When Jay bought this haunted house in 63, I think I just said 63 and I changed it to 64. How does this happen? 1963. He had just started a new relationship with an actress named Sharon Tate. Oh, don't worry. Don't worry. Don't worry. I'm not going to go that far. I mean, I am, but I'm not. I'll get to it. Sharon Tate was born in January of 1943 in Texas. As a child, she and her family moved around a lot, and she attended school in multiple cities in Texas, Washington, and even Italy. Her first acting roles were in Italy after going to a film set and catching the eye of an actor and filmmaker, George Bamer, who encouraged her to get into acting herself. When she finally moved to Los Angeles in 1962, she called Richard's agent, George. I don't know what I was doing.
Are you drunk?
Probably reading a book while I was doing this.
Is one of the characters' names?
No, definitely not. Richard was the friend, not George Bamer. She called Richard's, what is it called? Where am I? Agent. And he helped her to land a few gigs.
Okay.
This led her to meeting Jay Sebring.
Okay. Is the theme of this episode an addition to this house blonde bombshells? Because that's another theme I'm seeing here.
Be right back. Sharon and Jay had a great relationship, but an even stronger friendship. At one point, Jay did propose to Sharon, but she declined the marriage proposal, saying that she intends to retire from acting when she marries to give her full attention to a husband, and she's not ready to do that yet.
Fair.
Even after their relationship ended, though, the two remained great, close friends. Like, so close that her new boyfriend and them hung out all the time.
Okay.
Let's get back to the house. In 1968, Sharon was interviewed for a magazine. In the interview, the host was asking Sharon questions, one of which was about psychic or supernatural experiences. Sharon said that she had a weird dream once, but it turned out not to be a dream, and she didn't quite know how to explain it. She said she was staying in Jay Sebring's Benedict Canyon home, the one that used to belong to Paul Byrne and Jean Harlow, when Jay was out of town for work. She was in the master bedroom where Paul would have been shot and was having a hard time sleeping. She said she had a funny feeling that disturbed her, and so she rolled over and turned on the bedside lamp. When the light was turned on, she thought she saw something or someone moving outside the bedroom door. She couldn't tell if she was awake or dreaming, but assumed she must have been dreaming. She watched the door and saw a strange little man enter and start waving all around the room. She didn't know what Paul Byrne looked like, but thought the figure looked like what she had heard him described as, like Paul Byrne's ghost.
Ugh.
She said he never tried to approach her, just walked about the room, but it scared her enough to jump out of bed and run out of the room towards the stairs. Then she said, again, this isn't a fucking interview, like this is all documented. She said, quote, "I saw something or someone tied to the staircase. Whoever it was, and I couldn't tell if it was a man or a woman, but knew somehow that it was either Jay Sebring or me. He or she was cut open at the throat." End quote. Then she said she ran down the stairs to their bar and poured herself a drink. But while down there, something kept telling her to pull the wallpaper off the wall at the base of the bar. So she did. And then she decided she was definitely dreaming because this was just weird. And she went back upstairs, past the weird, creepy thing that was tied to the railing, past the ghost in the bedroom, laid down and fell right to sleep. She said that she told Jay about the dream when she got back from his trip, and they laughed about how weird the dream that was.
Also, just
well, she thought she was already
rolling it back. Yeah, but still, I don't like it.
The two of them laughed about how weird of a dream that must have been. But later, they noticed that the wallpaper at the base of the bar had been pulled up. She had actually done that part of the supposed dream. So, was the other stuff real? This dream happened in 1967. In 1969, a worse reality was faced by the two.
It didn't feel like the right time to say nice, but nice.
Right. By 1969, Sharon and Jay were just friends, and Sharon was actually dating another man, Roman Polanski, and was 8 months pregnant with his child. On August 8th, 1969, Roman was out of town for an acting gig. Sharon was at her home that she shared with Roman just down the street from Jay's Benedict Canyon home with her friends, Jay, Wojciech, and Abigail. They had gone out to dinner together and then back to Sharon's place. At about midnight, a group of people from a cult group came into Sharon's home and began a killing spree. A friend to the caretaker of the home, Stephen Parent, was shot and killed outside the house. Abigail tried to escape the home and was stabbed 28 times on the front lawn. Wojciech was stabbed more than 50 times and shot twice. Jay was shot, kicked in the face, and stabbed multiple times. And Sharon was stabbed 16 times before being hung from a support beam in the living room with her on one end of the rope and Jay on the other. Kind of just like her dream.
I did not know any of that last part. What? That's
I am
horrific.
not. Yeah.
Ugh.
And she had a dream about either her or Jay hanging from a staircase.
She had a premonition that something bad was going to happen.
I'm not going to go much farther into this particular case because this is one that needs its own episode or two. But the culprits
Probably
were
two.
eventually captured and jailed. The motive, they said, had nothing to do with the victims, just with the house they were in, as it was the former residence of someone they knew. Sharon Tate, a beautiful, blonde, talented actress, died at the young age of 26, just like Jean Harlow.
Stop it.
Was
Fuck the
dream that
27
Sharon
club.
had, right? Was the dream that Sharon had at Jean's old home a premonition on what was to come that she couldn't have changed? Was it a warning to do something different? Or was it a curse that was placed on her for simply being in the haunted house? We'll never know.
And we see these like weird curse anomalies in history all the time. And it's like, there's an energy, there's a source bigger than we are. Like, it can't be explained any other way. That's super weird.
Yeah. Yeah, I was researching celebrity crimes. Like, what am I going to do? And I found Jean Harlow and Paul Byrne, and I was like, okay, this is kind of unsolved. That's interesting.
Yeah. You
And
went
then I
old Hollywood too.
obviously-
Love that.
Obviously, when you're Googling celebrity crimes, Sharon Tate, Sharon Tate, Sharon Tate, and I was like, I could just bite the bullet and do the big one, but it's a big one, and I really don't want to do all that. And then I saw Jay Sebring owned the house, the Byrne Harlow house, and I was like, wait a minute, what?
What?
These are connected somehow. And then I found her interview, and I was like, oh no, this is scary.
That's super scary.
Yeah,
I love it.
creepy as shit.
Yeah, no kidding. Great job.
Thank you. Also, I couldn't find who, probably because they weren't celebrities or actresses, but also allegedly like 3 different people have died in the pool at that house. So like
Ew.
it's haunted as fuck.
Why haven't they like burned that house to the ground?
Yeah, I was trying to figure out if it was if they were blonde 26-year-olds, but I don't know who they were. So
That would be insane if
I
they were.
know.
I guess, yeah, it's not public knowledge at that point when people mysteriously die in their own homes, but
Yeah.
weird. We talk about paranormal stuff all the time. Paranormal energy can hold on to an object or a place or just a part of time.
Right.
Maybe it's time to let this house go, Hollywood. Maybe it's time. I mean, I thought that they did after the Manson murders, but I guess not.
That wasn't in that house. The dream
right?
happened
It's down
in
the
that
street.
house.
Right.
Right.
Down the street.
That
Right,
happened
right.
at Roman Polanski's house, and they did tear it down and
Yes.
rebuild from scratch. That
And
yeah.
that's what I was thinking. But they didn't tear down this house that
No.
had weird deaths involved. God. Ah,
Creepy dreams.
yeah. I'm on a tear that bitch down mindset right now with our serial killer research. So I'm just like, stop
Yeah.
trying to just tear it down. It's just
Yeah.
better
It's
that
gotta
way.
go.
It's gotta go. Like the Chris Watts house, tear it down.
Yeah.
Stop trying to sell it. Just let it go, because this kind of stuff happens, and that's super weird. Super weird.
It is
I
super
might have
weird.
to
And
do-
I was thinking for a second, like, okay, maybe the Manson family saw that interview and they purposefully made this
Carried
scene
it out
look like
that
a
way.
dream.
Yeah.
and you can't fucking trust the Manson family. But they
were high as shit. I don't think they retained anything.
Well, also, they said that they didn't plan to kill Sharon Tate specifically. They planned to kill whoever was in that house.
Yeah.
The motivation was not Sharon Tate.
Had nothing to do with
that
her.
address. Yeah.
Yeah. That's true.
So, but again, you can't trust them. Who knows? I don't know.
Anybody that's willing to carve symbols into their own forehead should be trusted. But we will get there at some point. But great job. Oh my God. That's insane. Well, you know what? Since we've touched on it today, listeners, let us know. Do we consider the Manson family a cult or a serial killer? Because some podcasts have covered it one way and some podcasts have covered it another way. So curious to know what you guys think and how we should cover it. So there we go.
Yeah.
And we read your messages about suggestions. Thank you.
Definitely.
I don't even know what to do with myself right now. That's my Roman Empire is old Hollywood. I just love the glam and the glitz of it all. I love, like, the 1920s was my favorite era. When I have my own podcast studio, my goal is to have, like, a badass ladies, like, art wall of, like, Olive Thomas's, like, model shots, like, a couple of them. Marilyn Monroe. Because I think it's cool. I think that they're people to look up to in some way because they paved the way for everybody else coming in now.
Right.
But also, we should never, word to the wise, go back to the 1930s eyebrows / the 1990s eyebrows of plucking them super thin. Please never do that again. If anyone is listening to this in 100 years, please mark my words. Don't do it. It's not a good look. Not a good look.
I'm pretty sure that's coming back.
No.
Tell it to the models.
And thank you so much for those of you that do listen. If you want some more Twisted content, we do have our Patreon page where we do urban legends and bonus episodes. And if you want to get to know us better, Bitch and Wine, we read it. Lots of fun stuff. And I am placing an order very soon for some new goodies that you're going to want. So, we also would appreciate you leaving us a 5-star rating and review. It is the best way to spread the word, especially if you're listening on Apple Podcasts. And recently, Apple Podcasts, not so much recently, but in the last 8 months, has released a feature where downloads do not count for podcasters unless you subscribe to them. So if you could subscribe and follow our podcast, that would be really, really, really great. We would appreciate it. And before we roll on out of here, Sierra, do you have something exciting going on?
Not specifically, just books. Books are exciting. We recorded May's Bitch and Wine already. Was it May? Yeah. And in May's Bitch and Wine, I didn't get to talk about everything that I read in April. And in April, I finished almost the entire series on accident in 7 days because it was that freaking good. So follow me on Instagram at TWIS Sierra and comment on my posts. A couple listeners have already. We're talking about it. It's fun. Let me know what you think.
Yeah, let her know what you're reading too. I am just super thankful for how smooth this week has been running. I know that that's a weird thing to say, and I'm going to knock on wood, but I feel like I've had a little more peace and a little less rushing around, and that feels nice. Like, for example, I wrote 11 pages of notes last night. I don't usually have time to do that in one night, so things are running smooth, and I'm happy about it. And
very nice.
That means that I'm going to get to read in the tub tonight and wash off my sweaty yoga-ness. We will see you next week for our serial killer episode that we've been hinting at this whole episode. And in the meantime,
keep it twisted.
Twisted and Uncorked is a proud member of Weirding Way Media. Hosted and produced by Sierra Zorn and Alicia Watson. If you like the show, don't forget to leave a 5-star rating and review wherever you are listening now. It really is the best way to spread the word.
Thanks again for listening to True Crime by Indie Drop-In Network. If you would like to nominate a true crime podcast to be featured, just send me a tweet at Indie Drop-In. I'd also love to hear if one of our featured podcasts is now your favorite show. Indie Drop-In survives off ad revenue and listener donations. If you would like to contribute, please consider buying me a coffee. You can go to buymeacoffee.com/Indie Drop-In. If you look at the very bottom of the episode description, I put a link in there to make it really easy. Indie Drop-In has many other shows that you also might like. Just go to indiedropin.com. All right, see you next week.